Yellow.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
It's going, Perry.
Well, not too bad. How are you doing?
Can't complain.
Hey, hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, you're all set. Hey, Bill, Steve retired Friday.
I know it. I saw the email. You know, he's been sending out these emails. I actually sent him an email and said, when are we all getting together?
I was with him this weekend. His son got married this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming up, but good for him. Hey, Jared, I'll say it ahead of time. I had the time to look at the September 9th minutes, but not the September 23rd. There's a couple of minor typos. Maybe at the end I can walk you through them. They're minor, and one's just a point of clarification.
Absolutely.
I don't know what's the easiest way to do that. I mean, I could send you an email or, you know.
Email is definitely easier on my hands for typing minutes. So if you want to do that, then that works.
All right. Like you said, I mean, I'm going to be fine approving the minutes, but I have a couple of catches that I think you might want to clarify. I just don't know how we memorialize that, you know, with the whole open meeting law type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can say it verbally, and then if you want to email them afterwards, if you already have them typed up, that'd be perfect.
All right. Kevin, man, it's getting longer and longer every time I see you.
All right.
I actually gave myself my own buzz cut last week. It was driving me nuts.
Looks good.
Yeah. Well, I don't have those flowing locks like you.
I figure I might as well let them flow while I have them.
Yeah. Say it's your tribute to Eddie Van Halen, right?
Yeah. Hey, Weston.
Hey guys.
Louisa, we have everyone on but Brad, and he had said that he might not be able to make it because of work. So just an update on who's here.
You're on mute, Louisa. We don't hear you.
Oh yeah. Can't hear you.
You have to unmute yourself.
Oh, you had it for a second.
I think pressing the space bar works.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Just the space bar?
Hey,
Oh,
there you
wow,
go.
it was. Awesome.
Now you're muted again.
All right, there you go.
Is there, yeah, but I have to hold the key. Is there any way to unmute me?
If you hit the in the upper right hand corner, you know, if you it'll say either mute or unmute, or you can actually go to the microphone.
I think you're good now.
Oh, now you're muted again.
Oh.
Move your space bar, Louise, to the upper right hand corner of your own screen, like where you see your face, and there's mute or unmute.
What do you mean move the space bar?
So, well, the cursor, the arrow cursor.
What
If you
cursor?
move it on your screen, move it on to where your video is coming, where you see your face, and then in the upper right hand corner of your own screen there, it'll say mute or unmute.
Is that good?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Loud and clear.
Thank you all for your coaching. Okay, so we'll call the meeting to order. This is the October 14th, 2020 meeting of the Lowell Conservation Commission. We start our agenda with continued business in the form of a request for determination of applicability presented by Fair DeMarty Consulting Engineers for Keolis Commuter Services. The project location is the MBTA right-of-way as it passes through Lowell. So they want to renew the wetlands map along the right-of-way and continue vegetation management activities as outlined in the proposed 2021 to 2025 vegetation management plan. Is there someone here for this project representing Keolis? Okay, well, this is a fairly routine request that we receive every 5 years, apparently. Oh, Ms. Sprague, are you representing?
This is Matt
morning.
Donovan from FDC
Sorry.
Engineers. Yeah, Clary is here as well.
Good evening. Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. For the record, my name is Clary Kutu, and I'm Director of Environmental Compliance for Keolis. I'm here to present to you the RDA for the Vegetation Management Plan renewal for years 2021 through 2025. Many of you are familiar with this process. In the past, you have issued positive 2, -5, stating that the determination allows Keolis to conduct vegetation management in accordance with CMR 11. We're asking that you review the maps before you and to answer any questions and concerns that you may have in reference to the delineations of the resource areas within the wetlands jurisdictions. Just as a summary, you have a little bit over 2 miles of right-of-way track, out of which probably 1/4 of a mile is no spray zone and a 1.5 miles of limited spray. So that being said, I would like to invite Matt to present to you the maps, and then I'll be making myself available for questions.
Thank you. We did receive copies of the map for our review before the meeting.
Hey everyone, so this is Matt Donovan from FDC Engineers. We do have a vegetation management website as well. This is a 5-year vegetation management plan, which is currently in the renewal process by the Massachusetts DAR. But this will continually stay updated throughout this 5-year process with the yearly operational plans and all the maps for the different towns. We will continue to send this to you via certified mail every single year. However, it can be easier for some people to access it this way. So I have pulled up your map here, which we submitted to you in the RDA. They were submitted as part of CMR 11 and specific sections of CMR 10, which require us to submit these to you to confirm the boundaries of the resource areas are accurate. The vegetation management plan, as part of it, we send your commission, the Board of Health, the Board of Selectmen and the Department of Agricultural Resources a yearly operational plan every year. The vegetation management plan includes an integrated vegetation management approach where chemical application as well as physical and mechanical methods are used to combat the vegetation along the right-of-way, and best management practices have been implemented and are used throughout this plan in an effort to limit the chemical application, which has been a main objective for Keolis. The maps that we've submitted to you are mainly made for the chemical portion of the plan. They were made with USGS and MassGIS layers to determine the boundaries of the sensitive and protected areas. And we do also get a list of private wells along the right-of-way from the Department of Agricultural Resources. The maps, they haven't changed. They do get updated as needed, but the last time when your commission approved these in 2016, they have not been changed since then. However, they were checked to see if any changes were needed, which they weren't. As you can see, there are areas depicted as limited spray zones and no spray zones based on the blue and the yellow colors. And in the field, the railroad tracks themselves are marked with the same color-coded system that you see on these maps. And the markings correspond to the same location that you see. So there's a spray truck with an operator who is licensed and certified to do the work in the state of Massachusetts, and accompanying him will always be an environmental monitor who's a direct employee of Keolis's environmental team. And they will always have these maps on hand when they perform this work, working with the operator as necessary. Most importantly, the yellow zones will never receive any form of herbicide outside of the track structure itself, which is federally mandated to keep completely free of vegetation with no other alternatives. In the blue zones, they're treated similar to the yellow zones where just the track bed, the track structure itself will be sprayed. However, they can be sprayed beyond that in a 1 or 2 year interval, which will never be exceeded based on whether it's light blue or yellow or dark blue, but you only have light blue. So it's a 1 year interval. In these areas outside of the track structure itself, more of an effort is taken with physical and mechanical measures to combat the vegetation due to its proximity to resource areas or protected areas. So the chemicals that are used can be found on the Department of Agricultural Resources approved sensitive area material list. Those will be the only chemicals that are used throughout this plan on the right-of-way. And the details can be found on their website or in our vegetation management plan as well. So I can open the floor up to the commission if you have any questions regarding the process or the maps.
Okay, thank you. I believe this is essentially the same plan that we approved the last time, that not too much has changed as far as location of the spray zones and types of chemicals sprayed. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyone on the commission have some questions concerning this plan? Yes, Bill.
Yeah, so thanks for that overview. First of all, that makes it easy to find out that it sounds like the maps are the same maps, or I should say the boundaries are the same as what was approved in the maps in 2016. We did get notification from Mass Association of Conservation Commissioners that, Keolis is doing a number of these, RDAs.
103.
What's that?
103.
So if you wouldn't mind, I think, you characterized what we approved last time, and, we're being informed that, to confirm the wetland boundaries. And so if there's no changes, that's easy. But then, if we're going to approve the application, we're being asked to, do it in terms of like a positive 2A or 2B. I'm just trying to, and Jared, help me out here, but it's been a while, but maybe you folks from Keolis could kind of, what have you been kind of briefing, other conservation commissions? Because obviously, this situation isn't unique to Lowell in light of the fact that it's something that the MACC has sent out to all conservation commissions.
Right. in your case, you usually always do a positive and a negative. It's kind of extraordinary in this case, what the guidance from MAC is, and how all the different towns interpret that document, right? It's not a legal interpretation by any means. It's a guidance document. The thing with it is that if you only issue, like some communities were a little bit confused about it, because if they only issue a positive, we're forced to do an NOI. So you've been doing the right thing for almost every other, for the last decade. You issue a positive 2, whether it's a 2A or 2B, and then a negative 5. And I believe it has been in the past a positive 2A and a negative 5. All honesty, nothing has changed. What we have changed this year is to give you more information, because in previous years, people really didn't understand, the commissioners really didn't understand what a VMP was. They assumed that the VMP was only chemical. And for the last 3 years, I've been in front of different commissions explaining to them, no, it's not just chemical. Because in areas like your yellow zone areas where I cannot spray, I will need to cut. So it's been kind of educational for a lot of the members of the commissions and all the different towns and cities I've gone to present this. So what has changed this time is that we're being more clear with the commissioners on what they can expect, what their rights are in terms of reviewing these maps, and also every year thereafter, because every year the commissioners have an opportunity to review these maps, or during the 45-day comment period of the yearly operating plan, come back to us with questions.
Mm-hmm.
So every other year you'll see that the chemicals will be alternated, so that vegetation along the right-of-way does not become resistant over time. So it's important that you review these documents. And believe it or not, a lot of the commissioners had never seen a yearly operating plan. And this process for me has been more, trying to guide the commissioners to understand that you have an opportunity every year thereafter to come back to us during that 45-day comment period. So what has changed this time is the way that we're approaching the education component of it while I present to each of the towns.
Well,
But
thank you.
everything else is the same.
Right. And that's helpful. And Jared, I mean, it's, I'm so used to doing, like, my thought process is first, confirm that, we're operating within a jurisdictional area, and then, whether or not, if once we confirm that, then, is the proposed activity, de minimis or not. In other words, most of our projects, if we say, yeah, we're jurisdictional in an RDA, and then we'll issue a -3 determination saying, yeah, it's within the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission, the Wetlands Protection Act, but the proposed activity is limited in nature and won't undermine the integrity of the resource. And I think in this case, if the wetland boundaries are the same, certainly the proposed activity, the best management practices for weed control, those activities are under the jurisdiction of the act, because we're talking about protecting the resource. But I would argue that, what the proposed actions are not, or I should say are de minimis and therefore not harmful, and I'm used to doing a -3 determination. Jared, help me out. I forget. It's been a while. What is a -5?
I will have to look up that real quick, unless Louisa, it sounds like she might know.
I have that up, Bill. I have that up. They had it in their request letter. Activity.
But actually the -5, before you continue, Ms. Chairman, you can actually list whatever exemptions you want under the -5. The same with, I believe, the -3. I'm trying to look for a form 2. My apologies. I live near the tracks.
You can't get away from work.
Bringing home.
I'm desensitized. I don't hear them anymore.
I guess while we're doing that, from my perspective, I mean, I have no issue with what's being proposed. You know, it's clearly, you know, jurisdictional. You know, it makes it easy that the maps haven't changed. I just want to make sure we get the, you know, the motion that we're going to propose, you know, to, or at least I'm going to recommend to approve this project. We get it right and we're consistent with what's being recommended by MACC and what we've done in the past.
Okay, so do you want me to read the negative determinations 3 and 5?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, so 3 is the work described in the request is within the buffer zone as defined in the regulations, but will not alter an area subject to protection under the Act.
Yep.
Therefore, said work does not require the filing of a notice of intent subject to the following conditions. And then number 5 is the area described in the request is subject to protection under the Act, since the work described herein meets the requirements for the following exemption. As specified in the Act, the regulations, no notice of intent is required. So usually in that, in -5, there are different options, right? The exemptions that are most commonly used are 310 CMR 10.036B, which is the presumption concerning application of herbicides. 310 CMR 10.05382, request for determination of applicability. 310 CMR 1058.6A, exempted from requirements for the riverfront area. And 310 CMR 10.022, exemption activities conducted to maintain, repair, or replace, but not substantially change or enlarge an existing and lawfully located structure or facility used in the service of the public. And those are usually the ones that we see most of the times in the exemptions listed. Each community is different. Some people don't have riverfront area and only have buffer zone. So it depends on each town.
So it sounds to me, and others please chime in and help out, but it sounds to me the difference is between a -3 and a -5 is a -3 is kind of, you know, just a generic, you know, how do I put it? It's a generic approval of the project, you know, without kind of getting into kind of the presumptive exemptions that you went into that would be covered under a -5. Is that a fair?
Right, and it's for work within the buffer zone.
Right. And this, yeah, and in this case, it's actually within the resource area, not within the buffer zone.
Mm.
Do we have further questions from the board before we have a motion?
I just want to make this clear. So from that guidance that we got from the MACC, it seems like they only want us to do a +2 and 3 and not a -2 or 5. And if they would like to come back in with an NOI, then that would be good. But you guys would not like that, right? Because you wouldn't want to have to come back with an NOI?
It's not that I don't like that, it's that it's completely impracticable and unnecessary. Because an NOI is for work that has alternatives for review, right? And what am I going to give you as an alternative? We either spray or we cut. So it's not.
And you're going to be spraying and cutting regardless.
We're gonna be, exactly. It's a federal requirement to clear vegetation from the roadbed at all times and maintain setbacks of line of sight and all of that. So it's really complicated, right? I believe that the state agencies at the secretariat level need to review these, and I'm assuming that within 12, 18 months, or maybe 2 years, there'll be some changes in the regs. So the next cycle of the VMP in 2025 might be different. There might be different regulations. So I believe, the intent of MAP was to give guidance to help some of the communities that were confused. But at the same time, each community is different. Some people just don't have any resource areas, but we still need to go to those communities and explain what we're doing. Even though they have no jurisdictional areas, we still issue an NOI, an RDA, I apologize.
And now NOIs are more expensive, right?
It's not only more expensive, but it's more involved for the reasons being that, you have to express in detail what the impacts are, and also not only the impacts, but also you have to provide alternatives. There's no other feasible alternative. So,
According to the guidance of the, the MACC, as long as they stick to the vegetation management plan approved by the Department of Agricultural Resources under 333 CMR 11, which is what they're proposing to do, then it should be good. I think I understand the situation now, and I'm good.
So, do others have any comments? Because I just looked at that form too a little bit more. I think what I would do is, since the boundaries haven't changed, from the mapping that was done and approved in 2016. First part of this is to confirm that we agree with the boundaries in the map, and I would suggest, or recommend we do, since they haven't changed. So that's the positive 2A determination. Now, with respect to the proposed activity, a -3 is limited to the buffer zone. -5 is actually within the resource area. So I do think, consistent with what we've done in the past, I would think what we would want to do is issue a positive 2A determination and a -5. I don't know how you memorialize that in one RDA. I'm just so used to doing just one outcome from that. If it's doable in one RDA, I'm fine with that. I just don't know procedurally, is that doable? And maybe either Jared, you could kind of give us some guidance, or, the reps from Keolis could say what other municipalities have, done in situations where they find themselves kind of the same outcome as what we're doing right now in Lowell.
right. So it's always been the way that communities have done it in the past, even in previous VMP processes, is that they approve the delineations and then they issue a negative so that it confirms that we don't have to go through the process of an NOI. So it's common, very common.
Jared, you want to opine on any of that?
I think that, we have the opportunity to check multiple boxes in the DOA form. So
Okay.
if this is what's been done in the past, we can do that when we process the decision as well.
So does anyone else have any comments?
No, I think that's, the positive 2A and the -5, I think is perfect.
All right. So with that, I'll offer a motion to issue a positive 2A and -5 determination on this RDA to move forward with this project.
Motion made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Perry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Indicate
Aye.
no. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. And thank you very much. Thank you for presenting it in a way that helps us deal with it the next time it comes through. So,
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, too.
Thank you. Moving along on our agenda, we have some new business. It's a request for determination of applicability from Mass DOT District 4. The project location is 1461 Pawtucket Boulevard, which is Route 113 in Lowell. This is a drainage replacement and associated work within the 25-foot riverfront area of the Merrimack River. We had some good photos that were submitted along with the application that showed this was a fairly, necessary activity here. It looks like there could be some major damage if it isn't fixed rather soon. The highway's fairly narrow right there. There's not a whole lot of relocation area for it. So, Ms. Sprague, welcome, and would you like to say a few words about your project? You're muted, I think.
Yeah, it's a small project. She's right. It's 40 feet of pipe that's been there since about 1934. So it's finally collapsed, and right next to the roadway is a sinkhole that we need to replace. So we're going to replace the entire pipe down to about, the pipe ends, the outlet's about 15 feet from the river itself. Adjacent to this outlet, there's another outlet from the road. And between the two of them, they've kind of created a scour hole right at their outlet. So we're going to put some riprap in that area to fill in some so we don't erode anymore. All the work is pretty much going to be done from the roadway itself since it is a short area. It should take about a day to do, maybe 2 at the most. Everything will be done, like all loaded up from the roadway and done. Loomed and seed afterwards. Straightforward maintenance of a collapsed pipe that we do all the time. Not much to it. We're not changing anything. It's a shallow pipe, so there shouldn't be a lot of excavation having to be done. It's a pretty steep slope from the roadway down to the bank that's only about 50 feet itself. So it's a narrow band of roadway, or strip, I should say, of land to work with.
Thank
Any
you.
concerns or
Questions from the commission? We did have a couple of comments from staff. Storage of materials, will there be material storage needed?
That was a one-day project, and there's no place to put it.
You're muted again, I'm sorry.
Not muted on my end. Nope. Oh, it says I'm muted. That's weird.
There you are.
Oh, no, now you're muted.
I think you were a little far from your mic, so it's
All
hard to
right.
hear
Can
you.
you hear me better?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. I'll talk loud. I can talk real loud. Yeah, no, there's no storage. It's, as I said, it's a one-day project. So it's quick and easy, or maybe 2 days at the most, but they'll have to come back. They'll have to actually probably close down the road to do it, or part of the road, get some cops out there to do the work. There's an overhead wire right along the side. So you have our road, guardrail, and overhead wire. So they're really limited on space of where they can do their work. So no storage.
You'll be using.
And how about taking down of trees? Are there trees?
There is one at the outlet that they would like to take down, but if you have concerns over it, we don't have to. I actually went back out today to take a look at that tree. It's a small tree. It's about 7 inches at chest height. It's completely inundated with bittersweet. The bittersweet's about 1 to 2 inches. The vines themselves are 1 to 2 inches big. With the utility pole right there, the utility company has pretty much whacked down most of the tree already, but this tree is right at the outlet. It doesn't have a lot of root system with the tree itself since it's at the outlet. It's kind of only half, it's kind of caving in, and it's leaning towards the utility poles right now. So it's a little bit of a, it doesn't have a lot of canopy, let's put it that way. There was two branches that I could see of it. So it's not a contributing part to the river.
So it sounds like the overhead wire would prevent any planting of anything larger than a shrub along that section.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest it, only in the sense that we do have the wires, which if you look all along there, I looked at the other trees that were there, the wires, they're cutting those trees as you go along to protect your, the overhead wires themselves, your utility lines going through that section of town.
So
And there's already big trees there.
how are you going to stabilize the slopes when you're finished?
So it'll be loomed and seeded. It's not, as I said, it's not a huge cut into the slope itself to replace this pipe. It's a really shallow pipe since it's not going that far down the slope and from the road itself. So that'll be loomed and seeded, backfilled, loomed, seeded, and at the outlet you'll have riprap placed. So it'll be a stabilized slope. Right now, all it is, right in front of it, besides that one tree, you have bittersweet and poison ivy. I suggest getting rid of the bittersweet as much as possible. It's actually, I was kind of upset because that tree is the tree that has the most bittersweet, and it's actually, the bittersweet is now branched, like bridging over to like some really large maples that you have there, which I've already told the construction guys, don't touch them.
Okay. And you're planning some kind of sedimentation control along the river?
You'll have in between, before the project starts, they'll put sedimentation control between the project itself and the riverbank, the river part. There's not, it's really going to be a small area of open soiled area itself, like open area.
Okay. And when would you start that?
I'm suggesting, I told the guys today after I went back out there, I said, as soon as I get that permit, get the guys out there. Because it's actually got a little worse from when I was out there a month or two ago. With all the rains that we got yesterday, I think it kind of washed out a little bit more than I was not happy to see that. So I kind of would like to get out there as soon as possible.
Okay, further questions or comments from anyone?
I just got a question. I'm curious. I'm assuming these things, all these outfalls that you got to repair, you're GPSing them and creating a map so you know where the location is for future reference?
We have the old plans, and since they're put in the same location, they just kind of pretty much say that's where it is right now. We are kind of working on outlet stuff where our outfalls are. Our GIS, we don't have the capabilities as well as some of the towns do. Surprisingly, I know, but it's because we have, I forget how many thousands and thousands of miles of roadway and drainage work, and we don't even know where all of our drainage works are. In Methuen, like last year, we found one that went underneath someone's house.
Right, but that's why I was curious, like, you know, when you do find something to update those maps, I mean, that's really important for like spill response. You think you have like an oil tank or something, you know, the first thing you want to do is prevent a discharge to the outfall, you know. And
these ones on these roads, like 113, 110 that go through Lowell, we do know, I mean, those roads have been worked on a lot over the years, and so they know where all the catch basins are, and they know, like, we have record plans of them. They might not be a GIS layer that we have available, you know, out there, but we have the record plans that we can quickly pull.
yeah, that's good to know, because I mean, I just think for a local municipality, that's great for contingency planning, spill response type stuff. You know, because to your point, there's often times where, you know, it's a struggle to know where that outfall is, and then you find out after, you know, well after the fact, oh, you got gobbledygook entering some, you know, waterway that it shouldn't be.
Yeah, I know in Lowell too, a lot of the catch basins end up in your wastewater treatment plant. You have closed systems, so it's not as.
That's another issue. MS4 permits with CSOs.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Okay, do we have a motion on this particular request?
I'll offer a motion to issue a -3 determination for this project.
Okay, motion made for -3, seconded by Weston.
Yep.
Further discussion, and all those in favor?
Aye.
1, 2, 3,
Aye.
4, passes unanimously. Thank you for coming, Ms. Sprague.
Thank you. Stay safe.
All right.
Good night. Moving along, we have an emergency certification for Redwood Terrace LLC. The project location is 109 Wood Street. And this was an emergency certification to remove 4 trees within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands that posed an immediate safety risk. This is along the Black Brook Drive, I always think of, but I guess this particular one fronts on Wood Street. And I've been looking at those trees for quite some time. Is there someone here for 109 Wood Street?
I'm here. I'm Ricky Mulrani.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Tell us
ma'am.
what you've done.
Thank you. Thank you. Michelle was supposed to come but due to some personal reasons, she couldn't attend tonight's meeting, and she wanted me to do that. So I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you.
You tell me what your what the emergency was, please.
So they were all rotten, all the 4 trees, and usually Michelle is very good about that. Before the season sets in, they would walk around the property just to make sure, and they found 4 trees which were all rotten and not growing anything. They were really bad shape. So they requested, and somebody from the commission, I think his name is Fran, he came by, he checked out the trees, and he did see that they were rotten. And before the winter sets in, they're always scared because they're so close to the buildings that if something falls in winter, you know, any storm or anything, it can damage the buildings or hurt somebody. So that's why she said that it's very imperative that we take these down because they are totally hollow and kind of in a bad shape.
Okay, I think that was the right move as far as I've been looking at those trees for quite some time and wondering if I was going to get to drive by them before they came down on the cars.
I know it. And you know, with all this going on, and they do an amazing job, Wynn does an amazing job. The safety of the residents is imperative, very important for everybody, especially with everything. You know, most of the residents are at home these days, working from home, and lots of kids in the neighborhood. So I'm glad it was done at the right time. Thank you to the commission members for approving that right away, and it all went well.
No, that's good. Now, is there any plans to plant something, perhaps something smaller in their place?
Yes, she said that come spring, we are going to reseed the area, and they like to keep the area beautiful. So she did say that they're going to reseed the area and put some hay around it just to kind of beautify it and make it more lively.
Okay. Well, I guess the job was completed successfully, but we should probably ratify the emergency certification that was issued.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Have we done that? Or,
I'm sorry, are you asking me?
Ask it, Jet.
we,
No, I don't think we've done that, right?
Nope, this is the first time it's been on the agenda.
All right. So I'll offer a motion to certify this, to ratify this emergency certification.
okay, motion made by Bill, seconded by Weston.
No, I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and the work passes unanimously. The work has been done successfully, and so that finishes the project for now.
Yes,
And
sir.
we hope that you can replant and get that area.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Have a nice evening.
You
Yeah.
too.
You too. Have a good
Thank
one.
you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks.
Next on our agenda, we have an enforcement order given to Dual State Investments LLC. The violation location 25 Clifton Street, and it concerned earth removal and fill dumping within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands without permission from the Conservation Commission. Now, just at the last minute, I'm not sure even all of the members had a chance to receive some further information about 25 Clifton Street. And that kind of changes the topic a bit, but not completely. So is there someone here to speak for Clifton Street?
Yes, I'm here. My name is John Finaris, and I'm the owner of the lot in topic here discussion.
Okay.
And what happened is I sold the house to the left, and the people got a building permit, ripped down a garage, and they said, do you mind if I store just some of the concrete blocks on my lot? And I said, yes, as long as it's not in the wetland area. And I gave them a picture of the diagram. Before I bought the property, I had it, I have all the FEMA maps. I have all my engineer did the actual, I don't know what the word is, the mapping of it. And they poured just for a few days, they poured the blocks until they hauled it out from the demolition of the garage next door. And it was not in the wetlands area. So I gave Francesca today all the information from FEMA, all the information from my engineer, and I think she was going to upload it or circulate it around.
Okay, I think I did receive that in any case. Now, the lot that it's called Lot 1, is that correct? That you
Yes, the vacant lot is Lot 1.
Okay.
And a portion of Lot 1 is in the wetlands area.
Large portion.
So the portion that the house is on is completely out of the wetland area according to your plot plan.
Correct.
But I believe the demolition debris you say has been removed, but I believe there was also an indication of some loam being spread, perhaps extending into the wetland area.
Yeah, it didn't. I actually walked it with my engineer. There was a little excess loam, and he stored it on the part that was not within the wetlands.
So you're saying it's not in the wetland?
Correct.
Okay. Is that something you were intending to leave there, or was that a temporary?
No, it was temporary when they were doing the house next door. They didn't have area to store the concrete blocks and whatever they did.
But where did the loam come from?
I think it was excess from next door until they backfilled their foundation. They just had it stored there.
Okay, so now that it's spread around, though, is it going to be able to be removed, or what's your plans for that?
I think down the road, we're going to be applying for a building permit for a home there. But again, it will not be in the wetlands area. The engineer gave certain setbacks and certain, he gave an envelope, a building envelope where you have to stay out of. And I'm in the process of working with an architect now to draw up a plan that is totally outside of the wetlands area.
Okay, but once again, you know, the wetlands does come up within probably a few feet of your proposed footprint, according to what I was looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, on this commission, we normally do require to have some kind of a setback so that, you know, the occupants of the house have some yard area to use without encroaching on area that's wetland or jurisdictional to conservation. So I think that's the issue here. It does appear that your house is out of the floodplain, but perhaps not much of the yard.
Well, we would not be doing anything with that area, I guess. I guess as the plans get further along in the process here, I can provide more accuracy as to where the dimensions will be.
Well, I'll open this up to the commissioners to ask questions here, and I know there may be some neighbors that want to say something, but we'll hear from the commission first if you have comments or questions.
I just have a comment on that map. It looks as though the flood line comes relatively close to the house. And I'm just looking at the pictures, and it looks like that that loam would fall within the yellow portion of the flood line. Does anyone else see that?
It's hard to tell from the FEMA letter and materials exactly what changed from the former. I don't think we have the former, or perhaps that's what we've been looking at is the former line.
I think everybody was looking at the GIS and all
Yeah.
that, but maybe for the next meeting, when we come more finalized, I'll have the actually engineer here that did all the work, and he can present it better because he has more knowledge from FEMA and all that.
So
Yeah, 'cause the only map I'm looking at is the Lowell City GIS.
Yeah. I think on the GIS, it shows the whole property in floodplain.
So we do have an enforcement order here, and we are essentially going to need some kind of an application from you. So I think tonight we'll have to decide whether we want to ratify this enforcement order or leave it in place until we receive some other paperwork from you. You have indicated that you have a resource area on your property. And for that reason, you would need to, present us with some plans, either as a determination to see if it's, something we need to watch more carefully, or whether you want to actually come in with a notice of intent that very specifically says what you plan to do to take care of preserving the resource on the property. And why don't we hear from Miss Roy? Did you want to say something about this property? I think you're muted right now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. He's already put the cement piles there to start building the house. So he's not waiting. He told us that he is going to be building that house regardless. And I can tell you, we've owned
Those
that
cement
property
are for next door. I'm
years.
sorry to interrupt. That's for the property next door. They were just storing that. That's for the home that's being constructed to the left. That's
Okay.
not for.
Can we have just one person speak
I'm
at a
sorry.
time? Then you'll have a chance to respond.
Okay, so the loam that was dumped over there, they mowed all that down. They put it all down. It's built it up about a foot from where it was before, up to 1.5 feet. I mean, there used to be a grade that went down from the street. That's gone up until where they pushed all the loom. I've lived there. Well, we've owned the property for 60 years. My brother's living there now. That whole section where it says wetlands floods almost every other year. You see that oblong circle on the plan? That used to be a pool. Okay, they had to take it down because the rust lines were halfway up the pool for where it would flood every year. Now, if they start filling that in, that's only going to push that water into my yard, and my cell is going to be flooding even more. There's no, I mean, they used to have a shed there, and that just totally rotted out. Everything they've put on that land is just, the water just deteriorates it. We can't put, the trees. We try to plant trees on our property. We can't. They get flooded out and they fall over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it appears that we have evidence both from the applicant and now from a neighbor that this is probably definitely a property that's under our jurisdiction, and we're going to need to see some more information about this. I think we need to ratify the enforcement order that we should leave this in place until we get some kind of an application of official paperwork from this applicant. I would want to see some topography before and after, if there has been a change in the grades. So I believe the enforcement was appropriate. So if we could ratify that, I think that would be a start. Would somebody like to move to ratify the enforcement order, or do you have another motion?
You're muted right now, Bill. Yeah.
Before even ratify, I mean, I do think we should ratify it, but it just seems, if you look at the two maps in front of us, the color one looks like the entire property is within the 100-year floodplain, and then the other map looks like, you know, the house is outside of the floodplain and everything else is within the floodplain. So there's a lot of ambiguity there, but the bottom line is this, is if a house is being proposed for that lot, you know, any sort of grading, you know, even if the house itself is outside, let's assume that boundary is legit, but even if the house itself, you know, is outside of the boundary, there's going to need to be some level of grading, and any sort of grading within the 100-year floodplain. We've been very consistent, to your point, Louise, of wanting to see, you know, maps with cuts and fills to make sure that there's no net loss at flood storage. And you really just don't have enough information right now to make an informed, you know, decision one way or another. So I, for one, think that, you know, to the applicant, I mean, first, let's ratify the order. And I'd say you need to really think about whether or not you're going to go the RDA route or write to a notice of intent. And that really depends on how much of your work is within the floodplain. And I don't think we can really tell right now based on the figures that have been presented.
Okay, anyone else have comments or opinions?
Can you post the new map?
Excuse me?
Can you post the new map? Because there's no map posted.
Well, I'm not sure which maps are actually new, but
I have the one that City of Lowell has, the colored map, but there's nothing else that shows this new map that you're looking at.
I think we got an email. Bill, are you talking about the building certificate plan?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So you could, Ms. Roy, you could actually go to the city's website and go to the 25 Clifton Street. All I'm looking at is the stamped site plan.
I'm not sure if that's, is that on it? On the internet?
it may not have been posted yet.
Building certification plan is on there, yeah.
Well, the building certification plan's on the website.
I mean, I think we need more information here. I'm also just confused as to where that concrete came from. It seems like it might, the origin of that might be within our jurisdiction as well if it was a neighboring property. But just like as far as this goes, I think we need more information on everything going on.
I mean, the bottom line is without the information, we can't even really opine on what's more appropriate, an RDA or a notice of intent.
Yeah, we asked for specific types of information on our applications, which just giving us a plot plan doesn't really tell the whole story. I still think the the enforcement order is something that should remain in place until we get more paperwork of some sort, either a request for determination of applicability or a notice of intent. And we're going to expect to be given certain information. For instance, it appears that the topography is going to be an issue. So rather than have you come back without a topographic plan and then we send you out again, and meanwhile, the enforcement order prevents any work from continuing on that lot once we ratify it. So I think you should definitely, check with our staff at the office and see exactly what kind of information that we're going to need in order to even, make a determination about whether this house is appropriate. Bill?
So on that note, just to help the potential applicant here, I mean, I think I would simplify it by saying we need two things at a minimum. You need to provide a figure that confirms the floodplain boundary and your proposed area of work. And then, for the work that's within the floodplain boundary, we need to have topographical, information that shows cuts and fills, so we can make a determination one way or another that there, whether there's a loss or no net loss of flood storage. The bottom line is this board's been very consistent in making sure that any project within the 100-year floodplain has no net loss in flood storage capacity. And we're going to look to make that, we're going to need that information in the form of a topo map with cuts and fills to do that evaluation. So if you've retained an engineer to kind of look at building the house, they certainly would know how to provide that information in a format that we could review to determine whether or not an RDA and or a notice of intent is the way to go.
Okay, that's what I was planning on doing on, as the process gets going here. I'm sure the engineer has that in mind.
Right.
Okay, well, the process shouldn't have started in any form. If there's been fill put there, that's something that should have been brought before us before any work was done on this particular lot. So could we ratify this enforcement order?
Sure.
And then we can definitely say what comes next.
Yeah. All right, so I'll offer a motion to ratify this enforcement order.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by
I'll second that motion.
Winston. All those in favor?
Aye.
All in favor, unanimous. Okay, so there is an enforcement order now that's been ratified on Lot 1. And that means that no work shall continue until you receive permission for that work from the Conservation Commission. So what we're looking for next is for you to apply. And once again, there's 2 documents you can decide on. And one is a determination of applicability. And the other one is the notice of intent. So if there's been fill placed on that property, when you're doing topography, we don't expect you to tell us the current topography if the topography has changed by putting fill on there. So we're going back to historic topography, and then you're going to propose what you want to change the topography to, if you're proposing a change in the topography. And we have heard that from you yourself and from the neighbor that there has been a change already. So we have to take that into account. That's part of your proposal. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, so the next move is yours. We've stopped any work on the property as of now until we hear from you again. And we do have to have the materials in quite a bit ahead of the meeting date. So you can work with the Conservation Office on that as far as getting your paperwork in and getting on the agenda for one of our meetings.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions or concerns? Okay, well, thank you for coming to our meeting tonight, and we look forward to hearing what your proposal is going to be.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Ms. Roy. Have a great night.
Thank you, you too.
Okay, we have minutes, and Bill, I believe, was ready to make a motion on the September 9th minutes.
I'll offer a motion to accept the minutes with some minor edits that I will send to Jared. Of note, there's just a typo on page 4 that I'll point out. And then I think we need just typo on page 4. Typo on page 14. And then on page 15, I just have a clarification on one of the comments. But I will send those to you, Jared, in an email with recommended changes. But other than that, I thought the notes were well written And I'll offer a motion again to approve them with some minor edits that you will see from me in an email.
Okay, so
I'll second that.
motion made and seconded to approve the minutes with a minor modification that Bill has seen in them, and I did see a couple of typos myself, so I'll leave it in Bill's hands. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do we want to take up the September 23rd minutes tonight?
I haven't had the opportunity to look at them. Someone else wants to. If others have looked at them, I'll defer to you, but I haven't looked at them.
I haven't had a chance to look at those ones yet either, so.
Okay, so we'll put those on our agenda for the next meeting. The minutes for September 23rd.
I think it's worth noting that our environmental agents have done a fantastic job of getting notes up very quickly.
Oh, I know. You know, stay up all night, the night after the meeting, getting those done.
So, you know, this falls on the commission. I want to make very clear that we usually get these notes and they're very well written within a couple of days, in many cases the following morning. So this is on us.
That is true.
Okay, so the last thing I see here on the agenda is our 2021 meeting schedule. We tried the summer schedule for the first time this past summer, where we had one meeting in July and August rather than two. And that's what's being proposed for 2021 as well. The night before Thanksgiving, I believe, is been left out as a meeting date. And I think Christmas week, perhaps, we have a lack of a meeting on that particular week as well. Do we like the proposed meeting schedule?
I do.
I'm good with it.
All right, do we have a motion to?
I'll offer a motion to approve the 2021 meeting schedule as written.
Okay, seconded by
I'll second it.
Harry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, so that's the schedule. And it also has on there the submission deadlines. Anyone who's listening, that you have to get your materials in ahead of time. Jared, that's the end. Is there anything else here?
Yeah, I have two items, commissioners. One is something that I emailed out earlier this morning about proposed activity at 7 Chambers Street, specifically the removal of some bittersweet. I guess the Canal water cleaners would also wondered whether they could have permission to paint the stumps with an herbicide, Fluroxypyr, Fluroxypyr. And I wanted to see what the commission thought would be the appropriate next steps.
We know if it's an approved herbicide, Jared? Is it on the EPA approved list of herbicides?
I haven't had an opportunity to review that. I would hope that the Canal water cleaners are using approved
Agreed.
ones. Yeah,
It's just our due diligence. I'm
absolutely.
90% sure it probably is, but you know, we should just confirm that, you know, it's on the approved list of herbicides, you know, and its proposed use is consistent with what the manufacturer recommends.
Okay, as far as the work itself, I think the canal cleaners have been doing a great job all over the city. And there's good places to have bittersweet if you're concerned about birds having berries to eat. And there's also places like this, which is a very narrow strip along River Meadow Brook there. And I think this is not a good place for bittersweet if you're going to have any use of that land for anything else. So I'm in favor of cutting the bittersweet. I'm pretty sure the bittersweet will probably survive whatever they put on the stumps and come back strong, and probably have to be done next year as well. So if it's something that's not dangerous near a waterway, then I for one am in favor of letting them do the work.
I might actually go down and wrestle some of that bittersweet with them.
Good.
I've been working with them for a couple times now, so.
That's great. Certainly get your exercise with that group. Okay, so I don't think we need a motion, but the general consensus is that go after the bittersweet. Good luck to them.
I will let them know. Thank you. My other piece of news is that unfortunately, this is my last meeting with all of you. I have accepted a position with the city of Alexandria, Virginia, and my last day with the city of Lowell will be Friday, October 30th. So I won't be gone immediately, but unfortunately, this is my last day with everyone.
Congratulations.
Yes,
That's
congrats.
kind of bittersweet.
Congratulations.
Great pun, Kevin.
I guess
Are you going to be near Old Town Alexandria? Or?
I just signed a lease today, so yeah, I'll be in Old Town
That's
and working, and
cool
City
area.
Hall's in Old Town as well. So
I'll have to reach out to you when I'm down in DC for work.
please do. Yeah, I'll send out
Whenever that
my
happens.
personal email and whatever else so that everyone can get a hold of me.
that's exciting, Jared. And
Congrats.
happy
Congrats.
for you.
Thank you.
All right, well, we'll owe it to you to make sure that we approve all your notes by the next meeting.
Oh, you can speak your mind when it's just you're talking with Fran at the next one.
No, but that's awesome. Congrats on that, Jared. And it's been great working with you.
Yeah. And you can come back someday and run the city or something.
That's high praise, Louisa. Thank you.
Is it a similar job, Jared?
Yeah, it's also still in development review. It has just more of a focus on larger scale projects. But as I told Louisa, Alexandria has some flood risk from the Potomac and the Chesapeake Bay, and so I'm sure we'll touch upon conservation issues as well.
Yeah. What a great opportunity. Congrats.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Very sought after location, I'm sure.
Well, I'll check back in with you guys from time to time, let you know how things are going.
Best of luck.
Especially if the meetings keep happening through Zoom.
Right.
Yeah, seriously, that'd be easy.
Who knows what our audience is coming from.
I wanted to go back a little. I've been reading about this chemical, whatever it is. I can't say it. I don't know. It seems a little. It might. I don't know. It might warrant a little more review by us.
How do you spell it?
It's FLUROXYPYR. There's just not much. I guess there's not many studies on human health side effects. And it looks like it's mostly used in forestry applications, not necessarily right next to water. But I've just Googled it. I just wanted to get an idea of what it is. I'm not a fan.
So I just pulled out the EPA pesticide fact sheet on it that I can send to folks.
Yeah, I see that.
That's what I'm looking at too right now, Bill.
Yeah.
Is it something you need a license to apply it?
It says it's listed as a pesticide and not a weed controller in this.
Well, we also have another meeting prior to October 31st when they're hoping to do this. So if you'd like more information about this, then I could also invite them to come to that next meeting.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. And then maybe we can do some background homework too on it a little bit.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else, Mr. Crouch?
Yes, I have a question for the commission. I'm here representing the city in the F&G Streets NOI. We had a screw up with the getting the legal ad posted for the last hearing, and so it got continued. I thought it was continued to tonight's meeting, but obviously it's not on the agenda. However, the legal ad went in with tonight's meeting as the meeting night, and as well as re-notifying over 600 abutters, which I can see everybody was concerned about this project because they're all here. What I would like to ask you to do, since it was posted for tonight in the legal paper, in the newspaper, and we notified people accordingly, I think it would be appropriate to just continue the meeting until the 28th, and that way we don't have to go through a reposting.
Okay, I did see, this was a couple of meetings ago, I thought, I did see a notice.
It was the last, yeah, at your last meeting, we were actually on the agenda, but the newspaper, something got screwed up with the newspaper and it never got, the legal ad was never published. So you couldn't hear it, and Francesca thought it would be best to continue it to, I thought it was to the next meeting, which would have been tonight, but somehow it got continued 2 weeks, I guess. So all I'm asking is that you,
Okay,
technically the
so,
meeting was,
if we
it
make
wasn't on
this-
your agenda, but it was advertised appropriately for tonight, and the abutters were notified for it tonight. If you could just open the meeting, have no discussion, just continue it to the 28th, and that would be perfectly legal.
Okay, so under other business, we've been notified that there's been a glitch in the application of the notice for a project on F and G streets. Is,
Right.
what is the nature of the project?
It's a project in the Mill District, Mill Redevelopment District, to create some new roads, improve some bridges, put in a new bridge, the Canal Street Bridge. You may be
Okay.
familiar with that.
I definitely read a notice to that effect at some
Right.
point, but not very recently.
And
Is it a notice of intent?
it is. The project was approved in 2018 and was under construction. Unfortunately, the order expired and nobody realized it, and we were told to refile the NOI since it was more than obviously a month. So that's what this is about. It's refiling for a project that's basically almost complete.
And it, so presumably already has a Mass DEP file number then.
Yes, it does.
All right.
Yeah, even for the new filing is, I apologize, I don't have it in front of me, but yes, we did get a file number.
Okay, so you're concerned that we just put this somehow in the minutes of this particular meeting so that it can be a continuation rather than a new notice to all of the abutters.
Right, it's the abutter list from the assessors is over 900 names. When we took out all the duplicates, it ended up still being over 600 names.
Okay.
And it's a fair effort to get a letter out to all those people.
I wouldn't pretend to know the legalities of all of this, but I'm willing to say that we have discussed it and are willing to continue it if that is something that's can legally be done in this particular case. And my concern is that it wasn't on the agenda to be continued.
Right.
So
I understand. I don't have the agenda up right now, but does it have an item at the bottom about additional items?
Well, that's why we're saying other business. I think we could acknowledge what, was discussed, but I think unless there's something procedurally, to Louise's point, procedurally or legally that prevents us from doing it, the outcome you're looking for would be no different than if it was open and then we continued it. The bottom line is that we want to make sure that the abutters and other people of interest have an opportunity to comment on the project.
Right.
And,
Absolutely.
we can certainly make in the other business, I would argue, point out, the omission or issue, and that, the intent is to make sure that this is added to the next meeting for
Right.
full discussion.
Right.
In other words, it was an administrative error, or you could even argue maybe a force majeure type event outside your control. And, I don't want to be punitive. I don't want to be punitive, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So long as, we don't compromise the integrity of the process.
Right. I think this is the correct thing to do. To continue the hearing, it has to be done at a hearing and to a date certain, time and place. Time and virtual. But since it was advertised for tonight, anybody who saw that and wanted to, witness the meeting should have been here, and to be continued in front of them to the next meeting is perfectly the legitimate and legal way to do it.
Even if it wasn't on the agenda?
Yeah, because it was noticed in the paper, so people would have theoretically come to this meeting to see the item. This would be, we've already published it twice. Well, it didn't get published the first time. I canceled the check and then resent everything into the paper. But we've notified abutters now twice, and I sure as hell don't want to have to do it a third time.
So Jared, could we just acknowledge, the issue brought before us by the applicant, pointing out that it was issued, an announcement was made in a local newspaper. For whatever reason, it didn't make it to our agenda. And as such, we're just acknowledging that we will make sure that it's added to the agenda for full discussion at the next meeting, and hope for the best, because I'm not an attorney, and if it's legally challenged, one thing I learned is sometimes people have a bone to pick, and they'll pick up on, even though the outcome could be the same, they'll pick on the procedures,
Right.
the process. And so I'm for one willing to kind of give it a shot, but we could be challenged, and I don't know what the recourse is for that.
Well, if it gets challenged, it's, it's going to be an issue for the city that I'm trying to avoid by,
Yep.
continuing this tonight, so that anybody who might have attended tonight will be notified.
But I guess my point is, this is all being videotaped. We have it. Everyone will still be afforded the opportunity to comment on the project. It's just at a different date, and
Yep.
we'll capture that in the meeting notes, and it's captured in this broadcast. And so if anyone were to ask why wasn't, if someone, like you said, no one's here tonight from the project, right?
Right.
If someone were to find, I wonder what happened tonight, they can read in the other business, what happened, which was nothing, and why nothing happened, and it'll be brought up at the next meeting.
Yeah, well, I'll leave it to you to decide how you want to handle it. I believe that the correct way would be to formally continue it, that there's no question that the next meeting is when it's going to be discussed.
But that's the challenge. How do we continue something that wasn't included on our agenda for tonight's meeting?
Well, that's why I suggest you open the hearing, don't discuss it, and then just immediately continue it. So there's no discussion on the project right now. It'll all occur at the next meeting.
Okay, I'm willing to give that a try. I think we don't really have any choice. It seems to be something that should have been done and wasn't, and
Yeah, I don't know why I wasn't included. The legal ad I received from Francesca had tonight's date on it and time. We sent that she sent it to the paper, and we sent them a check to pay for it. And in fact, it was published. I did get a copy from the paper. So I don't know where the sort of the short circuit was, but
okay. So I'm
just trying to avoid issues.
We should have a motion of some sort that would cover the situation, and then if we find out that that's not the appropriate, we could,
right.
just continue as if nothing had yet happened on this particular
Right.
project. Like you say,
I'm on a commission. I could make a motion.
Weston, you.
No, I mean, this all makes sense to me.
Yeah, I apologize for this.
It
Bringing this
might be
screw
glitch on
up.
our end. I
I
mean,
have a question. So are you expecting anyone to oppose it?
Not really. I mean,
You're just trying to cover,
at the last meeting when it was advertised and was published, it was on your agenda, there was nobody there to comment, and then there's
Right.
certainly
I
nobody
wasn't here for the last meeting.
Yeah. I attended the meeting just in case, and you basically, the only thing you did was you continued that meeting.
okay.
And there's obviously nobody in attendance tonight either, so.
So I guess I'll offer a motion, and I don't have the announcement in front of me, but I guess I'll as a follow-up to the announcement to discuss the notice of intent for the project on F and G streets, you know.
I have the, I think, do I have the?
So actually looks like a email from September 3rd from Fran.
Yeah, let's.
If you just search Canal Street, actually, it might pop up. That worked for me. September 3rd, there's a new application. Yada, yada, yada. The order expired on January 13th, 2019. Is not extended to so NOI. This NOI is a refiling of the same project to reauthorize and complete the work. 2:02 p.m. on September 10th. And then the NOI application. Broadway Street Bridge, Canal Street Bridge, and Canal Street Extension in Francis Street, formerly streets F and G. Is that correct? Am I looking at the right application, or am I looking at?
You're talking about the one that says notice of intent application materials for Canal Street and Francis Street?
Yes, that's the same thing. That the streets have names now. When we first filed, it was just F and G. But now they're Canal and Francis.
Okay. Yeah, it says that was supposed to be on the September 23rd. And then you said it continued. We usually have a date. We clarify the date of when it is going to be continued to, so that must be in the minutes somewhere.
Okay. It is on the, it is on our website that it's on the agenda for the 28th.
Right, I noticed that tonight as well. But the legal ad that I received to be published had tonight's date on it. So somehow I got confused.
That must have been a typo. I mean, personally, I don't think anything is going to come of it, but I understand your concern.
Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out the right phrasing. I mean,
right.
Due to an administrative error, you know, an inconsistency between the legal notice and the agenda for the next Conservation Commission, I'd offer a motion to open the, it's not the hearing, well, because you're announcing the notice of intent first, and then you're opening the hearing for public comments. We're not even doing that because typically we don't open it for for public comment until we finish discussing it amongst ourselves, right. Commission.
Not just continue it again.
Yeah.
I think all we need, since it's on the agenda, on the website for our next meeting, I think all we need is a motion right now to continue any discussion until such time as it appears on the agenda.
That's
meeting.
That's probably fine. I think that's probably appropriate.
Yeah, because no need to open it up because no one's here in attendance. It wasn't exactly advertised legally
right.
in conjunction with everything. So
I mean, technically, the meeting is open because it was continued from the last meeting, right?
Yes,
okay, we're going to continue it again, however. So, someone, Weston, would you like to continue this item?
I'll make a motion to continue the Canal Street, Francis Street NOI until
Kevin, would you second that? Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're going to have any discussion about Canal Street and Francis Street at our October 28th meeting, and not tonight.
Yes.
Great. Well,
Thank you
thank
for
you very
bringing
much.
that to our attention.
Yeah, we were
I
over.
apologize for
Sorry the
this.
confusion.
No worries.
Have a good night.
Okay, good night.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Are we wearing Halloween costumes to our next meeting?
Optional.
Oh,
That's a
I'll
good
take
idea.
it to that.
I like your thinking, Kevin.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good one.
That'd be awesome.
Well,
All
right.
a lot of Zoom Halloween parties, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks again for your good work, everyone.
Yeah. And so with that, I'll offer a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Seconded by Weston. All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night.
Take
Bye,
care,
guys.
everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Guys.
Bye now.
Hi, everyone.
Bye, Jared. Oh, good luck, Jared.
Thank you.